Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is my month in review for February of 2024, which was an overall pretty good month as far as new games played. It's interesting. I do these videos this whole month in review. I have a whole series. We're going to cover the best new games, the highlights, my favorite videos from other channels, from my channel, all those things. We're going to cover all of that. But I'd say that in most of the categories, I think that I had to really select certain things to fit into it. In general, like crowdfunding, I've had less crowdfunding things that interested me than usual in the past several, who knows how long, but this month I actually have a bunch. In the best new games category, I had to edge out a bunch of them because only 5 can actually fit. I do maximum 5 for all of these categories, and so it was a good month. It was a good month. But let's start off with the first section as usual, which is the stats of the month. My board game stats, which is going to be 161 games played in February, which again, good numbers overall, but I'm definitely not on track to beat my 2023 numbers, which is I'm torn of that whole process because on the one hand, if I do beat my 2023 numbers, it means next year I have to beat that again as it continues this ever escalating, unachievable standard for myself. On the other hand, if I don't beat my 2023 numbers, then this will be the first year ever that I don't beat, how many games I played the prior year. I mean, there had to be a point where that came eventually, I guess, right? Maybe. Anyways, 161 games played. From those 56 different games, 18 of those 56 games were new to me, which is actually a smaller number than usual. I think I've played less new to me games this month than a while. I don't know. I've been trying to get a lot of things played, enjoyed a lot of stuff. I had, Level Up Retreat at the beginning of the month. That definitely impacted things. In fact, even at Level Up Retreat, I played a lot of games I already knew, and only 1 or 2 actually new games to me, so that happened. We have an H index of 5 for me, which as usual, that's going to be an H index. The H index is the number of different games you played that many times. So I played at least 5 games 5 different times. I played more games than that 5 times, but it's actually interesting because I have a lot of games that I played 5 times, but not that many games that I hit that 6 number. In fact, I think only 4 or 5 that I hit 6. If I hit 6, then that would be 6. Yeah, only 5 games hit at least 6. That's, I guess, the math on that. Anyways, that's going to be that. Speaking of those games played, let's start with the lowest. We have Sky Team, getting 5 plays with Sky Team in. Sky Team's still a good game. It's not a game I love, but it's a game I certainly enjoy. Got in 5 plays of that. I got 5 plays of My City in. Finishing a game. It's a BGA game that had a 3-person game going on for I want to say 6 months. It's been a long time, but we finally finished the campaign, the My City campaign. This is my 6th time finishing My City. The overall solid game. Really went down to the wire. The person who was leading the whole way through at the beginning is not the person who won, so it was really tense experience. Not that tense, it's My City, but I enjoyed My City and finished off the last 5 games of that. We have River Valley Glassworks, gotten 5 plays of that one already. River Valley Glassworks is an interesting one because that one's going to be, I guess, probably on crowdfunding after this month in review goes up. It's launching soon, but I enjoy it. It's not an amazing, incredible experience, but I so far still find it compelling and fun. It's one of those games, there's going to be there's going to be a sponsored gameplay on the channel. Take that into account. There's also going to be a filmed review as well, and that's because longer story. We'll cover that more, but in general, I try to avoid doing sponsored content at the same time frame as I do opinionated content. I like to separate those. So I like to if I'm going to do a sponsored content, I'd rather separate it out by months or even crowdfunding versus down the road. But that said, there have been a few times when I made exceptions around those. Generally, if I thought I was going to do a review anyway, and then they decided to add sponsored content, especially if I'm positive on something, I don't want to penalize a publisher by being hey, now that you're paying, I refuse to be positive about your game in another video. So I just try to go for as much transparency as possible. Also, for River Valley Glassworks, it's not even a game I love. I enjoy it. I have generally positive things to say about it, but we'll cover that in an actual review. You can check that out. But anyways, 5 plays of that in February, and I got to more plays of that under my belt because I've played it several times before we hit February. I played it in PAX Unplugged in December a few times back then. And then we have Cryptid. Cryptid, I got 5 plays of that in, which is a game I haven't played in 3 years, but I played it again. Cryptid, I got to play that at Level Up several times. Really enjoyed that one. It's one of those games that my opinion of it is pretty much the same as it was back then, which is I both really like it. It's one of the first reviews I ever did on the channel, but I both really like Cryptid, while also being concerned that the person who plays it the most has a strong leg up on others, which was actually evidence that when playing at Level Up, we had someone who dropped by the table, someone in our Discord community who dropped by, and he's looking at the board. He's like, yeah, I've played this so much I can usually instantly tell as soon as you do a few clues. And I'm that kind of drove home my point, which is I think Cryptid really rewards experienced players, and so that's one of the reasons it didn't stick around my collection long term. I always have fun playing it, but because in my game groups in general, I'm usually the one who plays the games the most. You pick any game, and for the most part, I'd say that there's a 95% chance that you pick a title that I'm the one who played it the most in my game group. There's always a few exceptions. There's one person in my game group who loves Terraforming Mars. They play the hell out of that. There's things I know Professor Meg has 1,500 games of Ticket to Ride logged or whatever it is. So there's always the exceptions of the people who have this one game here or there. But for the most part, I usually play them the most, which means I have to be mindful of that skill creep aspect. But anyways, that's going to be that. Planet Unknown. got 6 plays of PlanUnknown. It's a fun, simple game. I love that one. It's a lot of fun to play. It's great for a variety of player counts. You can play a good game of PlanUnknown at 2 players, but you can have a great game of PlanUnknown at 6 players as well, and it doesn't significantly change the player count, so I enjoyed that. We have Trio at 12 players. 12 plays. Trio at 12 plays. You can't do Trio at 12 players. That's one I've been consistently enjoying with my kids. I played it a lot with, like, you know, other gamers as well, but for whatever reason, that's become one of my weekly games that I play with my kids now. Consistently. Like, that's the one that, you know, if we're playing on average 4 games a week, well, let's say if that holds up, because we are getting roughly in that range, let's call it a little bit less. Let's call it 12 plays a month. Then it would take, after a year of that, 12 times 12, 144. So if things continue to hold up well for Trio, give it a year and a half, 2 years, and it might become my most played game, which is currently held by My City, by the way. My City is the game I have the most logged individual plays of My City, although I do think Castle Burgundy is actually higher than that. It's just, I go by what I log, and I only started logging plays in like 2016, 2017, I think 2017. But anyways, we have Castle Burgundy, speaking of which, at 13 plays of Castle Burgundy. So actually, Castle Burgundy, Trio's never going to be past Castle Burgundy, because I'm still getting a ton of plays of Castle Burgundy, and so you're right, Trio's never going to beat that, never mind. I got 13 plays of Castle Burgundy in. I played it like 4 times at Level Up Retreat. I've continued to play it since then, both in person with like the deluxe version of Castle Burgundy from Awakened Realms, which finally a reprint of that is coming, as well as on BGA. I consistently just table that one a lot online, in person, with modules. Love that one. I really need to do a full 12x12 review for you because I've played that game a lot. The only problem is I haven't played the solo mode or the team mode, so I have to decide, do I need to play those first? Do I give up on that? Like solo mode, I feel I really should play the solo mode. The teams mode, for me, the 12x12 reviews, which I haven't done one in a while, the goal of it's not just that you played it 12 times, the goal is that I should be able to talk about all aspects of the game, which isn't something I can do for most games. So I usually don't do it. Something like Trio, which I did a review on, but I've also played Trio 12 times, I don't call it a 12x12 review because there's not that much to explore. So the criteria are, I need to play it at least 12 times, I need to have explored all aspects of the game, including player count, ways to play, modules, all those different things, and then also there has to be enough to explore that I actually feel that calling it a 12x12 review matters. So something like Trailblazers, which is a game that is fairly light, relatively speaking, to the rest of the 12x12s I've done, or even Cascadia for that matter, those are games where there's a variety of ways to explore them. Trailblazers has several game modes, both solo and multiplayer. I've gone through all of those. I've played at all player counts. I have explored more than just a game. Cascadia as well. I've played it at all player counts. I've played it with the expansions. I've played it with the solo version, with challenges. There are, as long as there's several ways to explore it, even a lighter game could be eligible. This is a long tangent for this video. We're really getting into it in this. Anyways, that's Dominion, and then we had what was it? We had Castle Burgundy at 13 plays. We have Dominion at 14 plays. This is mostly thanks to the app. The app that recently came out has inspired me to be playing Dominion a lot. I've gotten heavily back into Dominion just because it's so fun and easy to play. So I'm loving Dominion, having a ton of fun with it, and can't recommend it highly enough. That's Dominion at 14 plays this month, and I'm sure that number will continue to hold up because I've been going at it. Not with random people, same rules as usual for me when it comes to a game that I have in my collection. I usually only play the app versions with people I know to try to keep that knowledge in our game group. So Dominion at 14 plays. Then we have Crokinole at 18 plays. This is thanks to Level Up 100%. Played it a ton of Level Up. Crokinole is just an enjoyable, fun game to go through, and 18 plays for the month of February. Which brings us to the next section, which is my favorite videos of the month. Favorite videos of the month over here, as usual, from least to most favorite over here, we have how to sell a board game. This is a video done over on Game Brigade's channel from Brian, just going through the nooks and crannies of how to sell a game. I just highly appreciate that kind of content in the board game space. I did one of my own of those, like, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, and it's one of those topics that I'm always happy to see pop up because people so frequently are asking, what do I do, how do I do it, and I think having the most up-to-date information is always a good thing, especially since my last video, like the Board Game Geek Marketplace closed down or changed how they operate or whatever it is. So how to sell a board game. I highly recommend checking that out, especially if you are someone who's trying to ever sell a board game. Then at number 4, we have the future of this channel is uncertain. This is not even a board game channel per se. It's ProZD, which is, I guess, board game adjacent, although I have another non-board game channel for you coming shortly. But we have a future of the channel is uncertain. I appreciate that video, and again, these are all linked down below. First of all, ProZD is a gem and a treasure in general, but one of the reasons he's a gem and a treasure is because his channel is always so not done the way YouTube is supposed to be done, and he's still incredibly successful. It's all over the place. He tackles whatever he wants to talk about. He doesn't do thumbnails. He's raw and direct, and he talks about how the future of the channel is uncertain because, on the one hand, that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to lean into how to grow a channel in the official way. Like, he doesn't even do mid-rolls or advertising, any of that, because he doesn't want ads on his videos, so he tries to avoid that as much as possible because he doesn't like that. And so the tricky part of that is he's been incredibly successful, but it's still not worth the time. So he started a Patreon and all that, which isn't the relevance of this, although if you appreciate his content, by all means check that out. It's more about the fact that I really appreciated watching, he really talks a lot about how he tries not to do the things on YouTube that are better for the channel, that make it work for you. And it's an interesting dichotomy because I appreciate that aspect. Like mid-rolls, I hate mid-rolls. As a viewer, I hate mid-rolls. I have YouTube Premium or whatnot, so I don't have to ever watch an ad. I used to have ad block, which I probably shouldn't say, but I used to have ad block until they made it harder to work with ad block, and I just switched to Premium. And so to me, I don't like mid-rolls, but I also engage with them, both because it adds revenue to the channel, but also YouTube promotes your videos more if you have those ads, which makes sense practically speaking. A video that's making YouTube money is more likely to be recommended than a video that's making them less money. So they want that algorithm to promote that kind of stuff. But basically, point is, I lean into some of the things you have to do on YouTube because that's how you are successful on YouTube. And it's just interesting watching him. I really appreciate his video because of how he's like, screw it, I'm just not going to do it. But also, YouTube isn't his main source of anything, which is why he's like, I don't know if I really should bother with YouTube. It's not going to be worth it. And the result is he started a Patreon. You can check that out. And his channel is still going to be continuing because he got enough support. But that's less about that, and it's more about, I think it's an interesting video to watch in terms of the types of things a YouTuber has to look at and experiment with and, you know, say yes or no to. Coming in number 3, we have a 6 Siege unboxing from friend of the channel, Devin Norris, Devin Talks Tabletop. Highly recommend watching that. I really appreciated watching his unboxing of 6 Siege. I thought it was entertaining, I thought it was raw, I thought it was real, I thought it went into the nuances of the Mythic game situation to some degree while basically talking about how there's also other people at play. There's the designer of the game, he hopes the game will be successful, he thinks it is a great game, I think it's a great game. How do you talk about great experiences without supporting the publishers behind those experiences when it's been hard? I've gotten into a lot of trouble over Wild Descent because I frequently recommend Wild Descent, even though their games are incredibly outstanding. But like, I like Wild Descent, I think it's a good game. I understand the complexity of things. Either way, highly recommend watching the 6 Siege unboxing from Devin Norris. I thought it was entertaining, well done, and kind of just direct and real about the realities of the situation. Coming in at number 2, we had a Game Dev. I think it was called Game Dev. It might have been a different title for the video. But this is something I highly recommend watching. Whether you are someone who designs video games, whether you're someone who designs board games, or whether you're someone who just has an inquisitive and inquiring mind. It's like a 20-minute video that talks about, it's all about video game development, not about board game development. Although all the practices would be equally applicable to board game development, but they're also just fascinating to watch. If you're looking for an educational video about how you kind of have to just create stuff, I don't design board games, I don't design video games, I watched the entire thing, I was riveted. I thought it was an incredibly well done video. It's by a channel that makes like Islanders and Flight something. There's a bunch of these small little indie dev games, but it really is an incredible video, an absolutely incredible video. I don't know if I can just describe it or do it justice. What I can say is give the video 3 minutes of your time. And if you find yourself engaged, you'll keep going. And if not, it was 3 minutes. That's not the end of the world. Give it 3 minutes at a time. I think you'll enjoy that video. Comment down below. Comment down below if you enjoyed the game dev video, even though it's completely outside our genre here. And then lastly, the best video of the month by far is What the Duck Rap by Chris George and by Kagan Productions. So Kagan Productions is, has a duck as his little logo, which is why it's called What the Duck. And Chris George did a rap reel kind of thing for his video. Chris George, we don't deserve you. We don't deserve you. Room and board. Chris George from Room and Board. We don't deserve the sheer amount of talent that man brings to the table. That is going to be What the Duck Rap from Chris George and Kagan Productions. Moving on to my best new games of the month. Best new games of the month, we have a few over here. And again, things got pushed out. This was a tight fight this month. But we have, coming at number 5, we have Galactic Cruise. Galactic Cruise, it barely made it in. I debated whether to push something else. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember what it was that almost pushed in ahead of it. But Galactic Cruise, what was it? It was, oh my gosh. What almost got bumped in? I don't remember what it was. Anyways, either way, Galactic Cruise. Galactic Cruise, the reason it almost didn't make the cut is because it is a heavier game in terms of the teach, or more, just teach complexity is higher than I'd like. So I still don't know if it's a game that I'm going to keep or not. I just don't know. I enjoyed it a lot, but I don't know if it's a game I would keep or not keep. But I think Galactic Cruise is really well done. The actual game is incredibly rewarding. Once you get up and running, it is intuitive. There's just a lot of things to get into. But from a first-time publisher, developer, whatnot, they have another game kind of before, but I kind of consider Galactic Cruise their first game, even though there technically is one before from 2 members of the team. Either way, but incredible game, worth checking out if you like mid-weight Euros or heavy Euros. Highly recommend checking it out. Coming in at number 4, we have Ostia and the Pirates expansion. The Pirates expansion is the new part. Ostia in general is new to me. Little rondel kind of movement. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was a challenging little gameplay that was very easy to teach, but very it's one of those games that falls into the, like, you know, a minute to learn, lifetime to master, except there's probably like 15 minutes to learn and, I don't know, 5-6 games to master. I mean, more than that, I'm sure. But I really enjoyed Ostia, and I thought the Pirates expansion added a lot to it. It was a nice, pleasant surprise to me. To me, Ostia base game was good, and I was like, okay, is it good enough that I keep or not? Again, my eyes are always bigger than my stomach. If I like a game, I'm like, boom, into the collection. And then a year later, I'm like, you know, get rid of you. We're not playing you. Like, I'm like optimistic and cutthroat at the same time, which is a weird combination. But Ostia is one that the base game I was like, am I being too optimistic? And then the Pirates expansion popped in. I was like, that adds more to the table. There's still a chance it leaves. There's always a chance anything leads. I just have I have limited time to play all the games I love and the new games, so there's no guarantees in life. But I do enjoy Ostia and the Pirates expansion a lot, for sure. I definitely enjoy that one a lot. We have Cascadia, Rolling Hills, and Rolling River. I really enjoy those. That's my number 3 over here. That's one. It's not the most complex roll and write game I've played, but it has a lot of variety and it's complex enough. So overall, if you're looking for a roll and write experience that has a lot of things going on for it, highly recommend checking out Cascadia, Rolling Hills, and Rolling Rivers. I think I've played it like 6-7 times by now already, which for prototypes is more than I usually do. Prototype coverage, I'd say your average prototype game is getting 2-3 plays, maybe, sometimes more. Like, again, the fact that, you know, River Valley Glassworks has like 5 already and plus like 3 at PAX, so it's like 8 plays. That's more than I usually do for prototype plays, which usually means that they're either very highly accessible or good, or often both. I think both River Valley Glassworks and Cascadia are both games that are accessible and good. Not great, but accessible and good. Coming in number 2, we had Confusing Lands. Talk about accessible and talk about good. I loved Confusing Lands. It's a small little like wallet game, but a small box game. I just wanted in a wallet, but I really liked it. One of my favorite games in the genre of overlaying cards. It kind of, to me, it's if Sprawlopolis is the overlaying cards game I want for solo mode, Confusing Lands is the one I want for competitive play. I thought it was excellent. I really hope that there are more expansions and more cards coming to it because I want that increased variety. But I like Confusing Lands a lot. Highly recommend checking that out if you're looking for a 2-player small box game with overlaying cards and just a ton of scoring considerations to go through. Very, very well done. And my number 1 was Bardwood Grove. I played Bardwood Grove at Level Up, and I just really liked it. Now, granted, again, usual disclaimers, if I like something a lot after one play, I just try to really emphasize that. Like, this is one play. There have been times, plenty of times, where I've liked something here after one play, and then it goes down the more I play it. Very often, because if I don't feel that I'm getting more out of the experience each time I play it, then I often write it down to, hey, you were a great single play, and then it just got down as it goes. That does happen. I don't think that will happen with Bardwood Grove. I think that I played the game, and I only explored some aspects of it. There's so much I didn't explore that I think it would take like 5-6 plays to even feel like I really saw the full game, let alone feel like I'm tapped out in the experience. To me, Bardwood Grove is almost certainly going to be my favorite game from Final Frontiers games. Like, they've had a bunch of good games. Like, Coloma's very solid. Not when I kept in the end, but very solid. Merchant's Cove, again, very solid game. The main problem I have with that is my game group didn't like it as much as me, so it's very hard to see the table. People often recommended it for solo, and it's still one I might play solo at some point. I have to decide if I care enough. But I might get to Merchant's Cove solo at one point. But Bardwood Grove is almost certainly... I have to play more. So like, hold off on any, like, don't run out and back it or buy it just because of this one play. I'm optimistic. I need to play it more. We'll see what happens. Coming in with the next category, we have Disappointments of the Month. As usual, this is the one category I don't try to get to 5. Every other category I try to get to 5. If I don't, I don't. This one I don't try. I just go through all my plays and I just say, hey, there was or wasn't a disappointment. And coming in at number 3 over here, ranking from least to most over here, is Flow. And again, I always have to give the caveats over here. Disappointments is specifically disappointments. It is not bad games. That's not the goal of the game, not the goal of the category. Flow is a good game that I think has a lot going for it, but to me it still was a disappointment. Coming from the designers who are involved with it, who have all put out fantastic work on games that I've really enjoyed, coming from the company Fantasia Games, who until now, their games like, you know, you talk about Endless Winter or Unconscious Mind, which are 5 out of 5 games for me, and then you have Flow, which to me it felt overly complicated relative to the payoff that you got from it. So for me, it was a miss, and I was really excited for it. I don't think it's a bad game, but my bar for what I was hoping for it versus what it actually was definitely goes into the disappointments category. I'm always very mindful here because if I do put something into the disappointment category, there's a chance somebody sees that and they're like, oh wow, Flow is a disappointment. But with context matters. But if I don't put it into the category, then I'm doing a disservice to what the category is. So my goal with these things is just to be as clear as possible. Flow is not a bad game, but it's definitely one that I hoped for more from and thought a lot. I was really excited about it, and it didn't deliver on that excitement for me. Coming in number 2, we have Camelot. which is an old game, but I finally played Camelot for the first time, and I don't need to play it again. I didn't expect a ton from it, but I thought it'd be more fun than it was. To me, Camelot felt like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I had fun playing it, but it felt so random and chaotic that I can't imagine anyone ever thinking it's a good game. For me, it did not feel like a good game. Did I have fun with it? Yes, it was laughs and giggles and seeing who won and all that stuff. But did I actually like think it's like, it's not, if I want that kind of experience, I can get better games that still fall into the party genre. Camelot to me was a major disappointment in terms of the actual, like, yeah, not for me. And then my biggest disappointment was actually Inheritors. Inheritors was a game that I heard a lot of good things about, and I was like excited to try it, and I tried it, and I didn't see it at all. Like, I just didn't see where the gameplay was. Again, not a bad game, still not bad, but I was expecting this like fun, the card game that was really engaging and had a lot of choices and decisions, and people were talking about it and buzzing about it, and for me, it was like, I didn't get anything out of the experience. I played cards, I did things, it wasn't bad. I wanted so much more from it. So Inheritors to me was unfortunately a big disappointment, not a game for me. Which brings to the next category. My favorite videos of the channel, but this time my channel. My favorite videos of the channel, the ones I put on the channel, starting at number 5 is my news and week in review about embargo dates. Primarily because that one, if you watch that video, it's a news and week in review, which news and week in review will probably rarely ever be in my favorite videos of the month. They're too like just covering the stuff from the week before. But this one is about embargo dates, but that's not why it's present here. The reason it's present here is because if you watch that video, at the halfway mark, I am running at one point in that video, I'm basically running on 2 full days and 3 hours of sleep. 3 hours of sleep across 2 full days. And I am slowing down. The longer that video goes on, I'm slurring. Like, if you thought I was drunk, I get it. I appreciate that. I completely understand that. I have been buzzed on camera once before, but like never actually drunk, but I've been buzzed on camera once before. But this was not, I had no alcohol in my system whatsoever. I was tired, and I slow down more and more, and I'm tripping over myself, and I'm literally falling asleep. I watched it back later because I timestamped my videos, and I was entertained by myself because I'm usually not like that. Even right now, I'm like going a mile a minute, and I get slower the longer the video goes on. Coming in number 4. We have 10 board game recommendations with caveats, which basically me covering a bunch of games that I do recommend with a healthy dose of reality mixed into the recommendation. Different caveats, whether it's the price, whether it's the length, whether it's the complexity, all different reasons for the games, sometimes overlapping reasons and whatnot, but I like recommendations, and I also like being able to say, like, this is a great game. If you're okay with X, Y, and Z, you have to be okay with those things. And so I enjoyed that video. 10 board recommendations with caveats. As usual, everything is linked down below in case any of this sounds interesting to you. Coming in at number 3, we have the top 10 most funded board games of 2023, as well as a bunch of crowdfunding stats. I like this video because it's crowdfunding stats. It goes through the top funded board games. It goes to a bunch of things about, where, like, some of the things I think, the second half of the video in particular has a lot of GameFound related information. I work for GameFound, and if you want some just interesting statistics around, how funding works, what percentage of campaigns are funded the first day, how many followers actually convert. If you want some interesting piece of information that could kind of tell you how a campaign is doing, I really enjoy and appreciate statistics in general. In my last lifetime, I was very heavily into Power BI and Excel and did a lot of board game stats, not board game stats, a lot of stats in general. One of the reasons, if you ever watched, I did a top 100. I did a top 100 stats breakdown with the Dice Tower a long time ago. I like stats, I like data, and this video had that. Coming in number 2, we have Would You Pay $1 before the campaign even begins? This is the first of multiple videos on the channel that talks about the whole dollar newsletter strategy. I think it's such an interesting conversation, and I understand more about it than I did in the past, which also makes it even more interesting because I think that I could argue to you, like if you one-on-one, if we're having a conversation, I could argue to you why the $1 strategy should be 100% okay. I could genuinely make that argument. I don't feel it, but I could say the words, and I think I could arguably convince you as to why it shouldn't be a problem. Now, I can't convince the feelings you have. If you are someone who's okay with it, you're okay with it. If you're someone who's not okay with it, you're not okay with it. I don't know if I can convince your feelings, and the same way I can't convince my own feelings. I don't like the strategy. I'm against it. I go into that video. There are more videos coming on the subject. By the time you watch this video, there's another one that went up, but in March. But either way, that was the first of several videos or conversations we're going to have around board game, crowdfunding, marketing, all that stuff. And then my favorite video of the month is going to be top 10 board games to start a collection. This is a video typed, I've done videos like this in the past, but this is, I think, the first one with that specific title. Like, I've done cheap board games, easy games, gateway games. I've done, I spend $100 on games, but I don't think I've ever done top 10 board games to start a collection, and this was that video. And I'm sure I'll do it in the future because games change, the available games change, games. Everything is always available. I think I priced it out as well. Like I priced out like how much this would cost you if you're doing that. But anyways, if you're looking for a way to check out a bunch of games that might be great for that gamer friend who just got into gaming, if you want to recommend him that video, or her for that matter, that's a good video to recommend in my opinion. Which brings us to the next category. Crowdfunding highlights. I actually have a few games that I'm actually really interested in this month. Coming at number 4, we only have 4 though, we have Conquest Paradise. They basically, Conquest Princess, not Paradise. Conquest Princess Fashion is Power. They did a relaunch campaign over on Kickstarter where they added some more campaign stuff. I really enjoy that game. It's a solid cooperative and or solo game. I think it's a lot of fun. It's very difficult, very challenging, and also very rewarding. Coming at number 3, we have Decent Crusoe. I'm not sure how to actually pronounce it. That's a small game found campaign by Gay Bear Publishing. It looks like a fun little solo game. I didn't get a chance to play it, but definitely very interested in that one. That definitely caught my eye. It's one that I want to see if that's a solo puzzle I really like, or a solo puzzle that's not for me. Don't know until I actually play it. Coming at number 2, we have Steam Power from Martin Wallace, again over on GameFound. But I like the Steam games in general. I've liked Steam. I've liked Age of Steam. I think my order of preference is Steam, Railways of the World, and then Steam, and then Age of Steam. But ultimately, I like the core game concept, and Steam Power is trying to bring you that, but with a little bit more accessible, a little less complicated, which could be a miss for me. Again, I won't know till I play it, but I want to try it. And production looks good, the production quality looks great in general, deluxification, all that stuff, but more importantly, I want to see if the gameplay is one that is rewarding to me, or is it one that you may as well either play Steam or Ticket to Ride on the either end of the spectrums, as opposed to Steam Power itself. And then lastly, we have Dante Inferno. Definitely like Dante Inferno a lot. That was a very solid boss battler experience that I had a lot of fun with, and I'm looking forward to the final game of that one. I thought it was, it's one of those games that could be a big box campaign, but it's much more condensed. It's not over the top. It's more in the range of Primal or Wild Ascent in terms of its accessibility, and not asking you to spend a ton of whatever. I mean, they ask you to spend a lot of money if you want the $400 pledge. I don't think you need that, but yeah, I like Dante Inferno a lot, and that is my crowdfunding highlight of the month. Which brings us to my other highlights of the month. The general highlights. These are games that are not new to me. They're not crowdfunding. They're not disappointments. They're not, well, obviously not disappointments. But my highlights of the month, coming in at number 5, we have Crokinole. Crokinole was so much fun, but not just Crokinole in general. Playing Crokinole Level Up, I had some games of Crokinole that I got into like a full-on tournament as going head-to-head, myself and one other person, against Devin and Danielle Standring, and just having some of the tensest games of Crokinole I've ever played. To me, it's not just how good Crokinole is that's on this list, but it's also just the fact that, oh my gosh, I had some great games of Crokinole. Coming in at number 4, we have Dominion. There's going to be some overlap you'll see here with the games I've played the most and my highlights, which makes sense, but I've loved re-exploring Dominion. I've played more Dominion in the past month than I've played in like the past year before. Dominion's a game I pull out infrequently. I enjoy it. I have it in my collection. I love it, but I pull it out infrequently. Having the ability to dive into the app, I don't want to get rid of my physical collection, but honestly, it's going to be a little trickier to justify pulling out my physical collection based on how fast the app is. But I do like that human connection, interaction in person, so I'm sure it will hit the table. But oh my gosh, Dominion has been reigniting my love for that game. I think it's fantastic. Coming in number 3, we have Cusco. Cusco is a re-implementation of Bora Bora. It's from Queen Games, the Stefan Feld City Collection re-implementation series or whatnot, or not always re-implementation, but sometimes. But I think Bora Bora is fantastic. It's one of the games that I love in the from Stefan Feld, and I think Cusco did a good job delivering on that gameplay, reminding me of all the things I like about it. It is a fun, challenging game, definitely one of my higher rated Stefan Feld games, and it was delightful to explore that one. Then we have Castle of Burgundy, because how could I not? Castle of Burgundy is fantastic and incredible, and more importantly, I've been diving into the various modules. I played the Vineyard expansion for the first time at Level Up Retreat. I also played the Shields module. Both of those were fantastic. They were both new to me. I had not played those. I played for most of the modules of Castle of Burgundy, but not those two, and they are, oh my gosh, so much fun. And I've been continuously playing it with the Vineyards expansion as much as I possibly can, and the Shields module I've not gotten more plays in because I need to introduce people to it slowly, but Castle of Burgundy, absolutely one of my highlights, amazing experience. And then coming in number 1 is Vindication, because Vindication is fantastic, and I did get a chance to play it this past month, which is always a fun time when I do. I have so much fun with Vindication. I have so much fun with it. It's always, like, it was a day that I just didn't have the time to give to it. I didn't have the time for it, but somebody else wanted to play it, and I was like, I will make the time, because A, it's one of my favorite games, and B, is I need to remember to play games, both because somebody else wanted to play it, but also for myself. I need to make sure to play as many of the games I love, and not just the new games that are constantly coming in. And so I'm so glad I did. There's a reason I'm in love with this hobby, and it's not about the constant churn of all the new games that come through. I find things that I love along the way, make no mistake, but if they then get relegated to a shelf where you continue to play the new things and not the thing you found and loved, then what was the point of the search? What's the point of searching for treasure if you never spend the treasure, if you just put it into a vault somewhere where you never get to utilize it, which is a longer conversation in its own right. But I love playing the games I love. I don't just love discovering new ones. And so Vindication, such a good game, incredible experience. My number 1 game of the year as of 2023, and we'll see how it fares in 2024. But I mean, Castle of Burgundy is going to give it a run for its money. Castle of Burgundy has always been a great game. Came in at number 2 one year. Never made it to my number 1. I don't know. Honestly, if you ask me right now, there's a decent chance Castle of Burgundy is my number 1, but there's a decent chance Vindication is my number 1 again. We'll find at the end of the year. I don't always know myself until it gets there. But that has been your month in review. Until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. Thanks for staying tuned through this one. I feel like I really went into like rambling side conversations a lot in this one, but hey, that's like sometimes these videos are like more direct and to the point. Sometimes I go on side conversations and tangents. It is what it is. I don't control it. I just go with the flow. And in any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.